Hi, Maggie Bea. I hope your day was really awesome. And I know you've been looking forward to having me give you another bedtime story that you can watch. So here it is, the story of Edward the Raven and Oliver the Ogre. One day, Edward the Raven was flying about the village looking for shiny, shiny things to put into his nest. And as he was flying over, he saw off in the very distance this shiny twinkle. And Edward thought to himself, "Ooh, I wondered what that could be." And so he flew in the direction that he had saw it. As he flew, he could see that the twinkle was moving away, and it was doing a zigzag pattern. As he got closer and closer, he saw that the twinkle was atop a small running girl dressed in pink with ribbons and sequins. And that twinkle, that was her crown. And not too far behind her was a big, hairy ogre. Well, Edward the Raven didn't think too much of the ogre because he was really thinking of the sparkly crown that was upon that princess's head. And all he could think is, I really, really want that crown in my nest because all the other ravens will think I have the sparkliest nest. So he flew down closer and he yelled out, "Girl, girl, why is that ogre chasing you?" And she said, I don't know. I stumbled into, I think, his house and I ate some of his food because I was hungry, because I was lost. And he got home and he was mad, and so I ran. "Oh," he said, "that is terrible. My name is Edward, and I could help you get away, but you're going to have to give me something." And she was like, "I don't have anything to give you. I'm lost. I don't know where I go to get back to my kingdom." And he says, "Well, you have the crown upon your head. If you were to give me that, I could help you." As the ogre was bellowing in the distance, she said, "Fine, fine, fine. You can have my crown. You just have to help me get away from the ogre." And he said, "Fair enough." And he flew up high and he started to yell directions to her. "Go left, go forward, go left, run through those trees, up on that rock, around the other rocks, through those trees, cross that river." Eventually, the ogre bellows got quieter and quieter, and finally, they could hear it no longer. And Edward flew down and said, "All right, princess, it's time to give me that crown." And as he landed, the princess laughed and laughed and laughed, and she said, "Silly raven, I am a princess. I would never give you my crown. But thank you for the services you have given me." Edward said, "But I've done the good things. I've helped you as I said I would. And we agreed that you would give me your crown in return. Why would you not hold up your end of the agreement?" And she said, "Well, I am actually a witch." And she spun around and smoke billowed out from the bottom of her pink sequined gown. And soon she was standing in a pink sequined witch's gown with a very pointy pink witch's hat that still had the crown. Edward said, "Well, witch, you still should give me the crown because we had a deal." And so he flew down very quickly, whew, and he grabbed the crown and he flew away, yelling, "I've got the crown! I've got the crown! I've got the crown!" And she said, "Well, I'll get you someday. Someday I'll get you." And he flew back towards her and he said, "Well, I've helped you, so you should always remember that." And he flew. And as he was flying back home with his very, very shiny crown, he saw the ogre sitting down in a field crying. And he flew towards the ogre and he yelled down, "Ogre, why are you crying? I'm sorry that I led that witch girl away. I thought she was a princess in distress." And the ogre stopped crying and said, I thought we were going to be friends, but she tricked me and I stole that crown for her. And now all of the villagers and the people at the castle, they're looking for me because they want to put me in jail." And Edward said, "Well, that's terrible. She played too many tricks on too many people. If you look here in my claws, I have that crown. We could return it together. We could do the right thing, you and I." And the ogre said, My name is Oliver, and I'm an ogre." Edward said, "I am Edward the Raven, and I can quite clearly see that you are an ogre, silly Oliver. If you don't mind, I will perch on your shoulder and we can walk back and take the crown back, and hopefully all will be forgiven." And so Edward and Oliver journeyed slowly back to the village, where the townspeople threw things at them until Edward flew around and scared them back into their homes. Oliver would have helped, but he was pretty scared. He's a very young ogre. And eventually they got up to the guards at the castle, and Edward flew up and said, "We have brought back the crown that the witch had tricked Oliver the ogre into stealing. So we're going to give it back to you, and then we're going to leave. And that is that. Okay?" And the guards talked to each other. "We accept." And so Edward flew the crown back to them and then flew back over to Oliver. And he said, "There, my boy, I no longer have shiny crown for my nest, but I hope we've become friends and you're no longer hunted." And Oliver said, "Well, I could make you some food. Would you like to come back to my house?" And Edward said, "Well, that could be quite nice, thank you." And so Oliver the ogre and Edward the raven, at the end of their very first adventure together, went back to Oliver's house, where he made corn seed cakes for Edward and pumpkin soup for himself. And they ate and they told stories. The end. This isn't the end of the adventures for Edward the Raven and Oliver the Ogre. I'll tell you more in the future. I hope you sleep very well tonight, Maggie Bea. Please know that Daddy loves you very much, and I miss you all the time. Good night, my love.